Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Hello, hello. Happy Monday. I am feeling rejuvenated, but I know you two were on the road last week, so maybe lagging a little bit this morning.
Yeah, happy Monday. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm on the show again. It's been a while.
True.
It's been too long.
It feels like normal, but it has been a month or so.
Yeah, it was like I was putting up all my podcast equipment and trying to like get my new mic set up. I was like, man, do I know how to do this? Do I know how to host a show anymore? It's been so long. No, it's all gone. 7 years of podcasting out the window. No, but I'm excited to join you guys this morning as Brandy is getting ready, or actually probably not even getting ready, on her first trip of her move to Boston. So shout out to the Queen Bee herself, as I know that is a lot of work to move. So especially out of state, it's gonna be weird that she's gonna be out of Miami. She's no longer our second point of contact in Miami. We only got Steve Turk now.
We'll see if the entire background is all white, like everything in Miami in her new place.
We'll see. Doubtful, but it's good to be back. For all of the listeners and the live viewers, we are so excited you're here. Please let us know where you are tuning in from. We'd love to see all the different faces and names that are joining us from around the world. And for the amazing team behind the scenes, thank you for all the hard work at Skift Global Forum. I just want to give everyone a shout out. I know you guys weren't able to be there, but we had the amazing Sarah Dandishy and Katie Klein kind of stepping in for the GMH voice, and they crushed it. And it was just a lot of fun. So shout out to them for representing Good Morning Hospitality while at the forum. But Jamie, we got some news to jump into, kind of leading into next week's episode with Tim Rosolio. You were at the Vrbo Connect conference. Would love to jump into some of your takeaways before we have Tim on next week.
Yeah, and it was a really fun event, and Vrbo Expedia put on an excellent show, and the Austin hospitality was unmatched. 2 days there, so much barbecue, and good barbecue at that. So one of the things, and I wanted to just give the preview on, is Vrbo sort of, and I would say using good uses of AI. Like, they're not reinventing their app around AI, but they are sort of bringing AI into the app. So, and they've launching AI guest review summaries. Like, we're all sort of seeing them in Amazon now, other places, of like, there's so much unstructured data and guest reviews. Like, I'm not going to read all the reviews, just summarize like what I need to know, what people like, what they don't like. Similar with property highlights, like highlight to me, you know who I am, highlight what I'm going to care about this property. And then I think one of the coolest things they sort of demoed was the property Q&A. Like, you think about how much information is on that page. Like, I don't know where to go on the page to find the cancellation policy. I don't know where to find the if they allow pets or not. Just let me ask questions about this property and answer those questions for me. And like, that is a great way to bring a chat interface into a property listing page, is just let me ask questions about this property and get real answers. And maybe solves a lot of the sort of guest communication back and forth for hosts of like, do I need to be answering all these questions about the listing? All the information's there. It's like, just ask when you're going to book it. So I love those sort of uses of AI on the listing pages.
And even the questions that aren't able to be answered give you the opportunity to fill them in, and I'm sure they'll flag those for you for the future. That I like that. The other piece that I think is interesting is the traveler's ability to upload photos.
Mm-hmm.
I know this can go sideways real fast, because the majority of time people are uploading I can't say that. If you go to TripAdvisor, a lot of the photos are fantastic. And it is actually truly helpful to see the property not highlighted in its
in real life
professional photographer, but like actual guest reviews. And yes, there's going to be lots of pictures of dirty hairs on toilets and pillowcases, or clean hairs nonetheless on a pillowcase. No judgment to people's hair out there, but that's going to be mixed in with people highlighting, like, a family photo of the feast that they made on their vacation, so yeah. I do like that. It adds the real element to it. It also opens up a lot of potential challenges, but we'll get into the themes that we're seeing from the OTAs here in a second, but it's moving in a direction that everyone needs to get better. And when a photo happens, if a dish is broken or a faucet's broken, and a photo gets listed, you take care of it, you respond to the image, and it's better for the next guest.
Look, I'm excited about this because I think it's going to be harder for the bad apples to hide. And I think one of the themes we're going to talk about later is obviously about quality, right? And so not quality of just the units or the properties themselves, but the quality of the operators behind the properties. They're taking care of the owners, taking care of the hotel groups, whatever type of management agreement you may have with whoever the asset owner is. It's hard to hide when the guests are calling you out publicly with photo proof evidence. So for me, that's going to be the exciting one, because now we're really going to watch what cream is rising to the top. And I think for us as an industry, it's always great that we could promote great operators, but it's always hard to know who are the great operators truly in terms of the guest experience. And so as we're evolving, as the vacation rental, short-term rental industry is having to force itself more into hospitality rather than just operations, this is going to be where the true fun begins. So
yeah. And something
tuned.
that someone called out to me on LinkedIn was, this is something that Booking already does with allowing guests to post photos in the reviews. And then, like, for me, mentally going through like all the things that Expedia Vrbo released, like it's a lot of things that Booking already does. So like, let's talk about like, oh, Vrbo's just copying Airbnb. And a lot of the most recent things, it's like, all right, promotions, like early booking, mobile discounts, last minute book out. Like Booking owns their promotion suite, right?
100%.
Payments, like Booking last year launched like their own payments platform where Booking's going to be merchant of record. That's something that Vrbo never had. That Airbnb, a lot of their success was built around like them being merchant of record, making it really easy to host. The fact that Vrbo's finally rolling this out, like I think it's great. And then I onboarded my property through Vrbo last year. Took 2 weeks to get onboarded. The fact that they are rolling out new content management and onboarding suite for API connected listings is amazing. And I know I've pushed our uplisting team, like we need to get this into the roadmap right away. So something that I'm excited to ask Tim about, if Tim's listening, is how payments and sort of this merchant of record works with their one key program. Because if I'm not on the one key program, like I'm connected through my PMS, I'm merchant of record, like, am I going to be part of this? Like, as more individual hosts adopt their payment system, they're part of the one key program, like, are they going to be promoted over than me? And sort of what the interaction there, I think, is going to be really interesting.
Yeah,
100%.
And I'll mirror what Jamie said. Booking is ahead of the others in many ways. They just aren't great at PR. And so we don't notice it and we don't cover it. So kudos to Booking. I think anyone who watches the show knows that I'm interested in an Instagram Expedia partnership. So can't ask that directly, but I'll come up with ways to.
I did ask it directly in some closed door meetings. I did not get answers either.
Hey,
so.
We know
Classic.
what no answer means.
Yeah. Classic.
We're going to spread some rumors.
Well, it's so funny.
But
not on the show. Not on the show.
I didn't say anything.
So Will, like on Skift, like I know it's probably our next topic. Like this was your first Skift Global Forum as part of the Skift team. Like, it's the biggest conference of the year. It's massive. Like, before we get into some of the topics, like, what was it like sort of being behind the scenes, see how the prep happens? Like, was that, and it seems like such a well-oiled machine from the sort of listener point of view, but how was it seeing it sort of operationally?
I'll have to give all the credit to the team in terms of our programming team, our marketing team, everybody from all the different departments really does come together. It was kind of crazy to see behind the curtain, right? Like I've attended last year where it looks like you see on YouTube or on LinkedIn, where it's beautiful. The people on stage are dropping news and hot takes and maybe some spicy comments, which are always fun. But to see the orchestration behind the scenes, it was incredible, and also very, how do I say this, hectic in a great way. I was just inundated with all this new stuff, right? So I have to give everyone else the credit. I was more just absorbing everything happening and trying to maintain my piece of the overall Skift pie in terms of video and audio. We had some great partners, obviously, that made the conference all happen. Amazing attendance. The opening night was stacked with, obviously, Glenn Fogel opening, and then Brian Chesky right after. So to have two of the big three on the main stage the first night, it definitely drew the crowd in, which was awesome. And so to see the energy in the room, it truly was great. And I made this post on LinkedIn saying I would love, my goal for next year is to get more short-term rental operators or even vendors into the room, because when we only look at our piece of the pie of travel and hospitality and short-term rentals, we get so blindsided to what the bigger industry is actually discussing, actually innovating on, actually applying in terms of AI, data, employment, upskilling, changing the game of hospitality and how it's executed. I heard many great conversations through the networking areas, from the conference floor and the speaker areas, to even behind the scenes, where people are truly getting business done and trying to change their section or their sector for the best. And so for me, it was really cool just see the wizard behind the screen, I guess. But it was hectic, it was crazy, and I'm very thankful to have been able to recover a little bit from this very busy week or two of conferences. So not to ramble, go on a monologue there, but it looks like we lost Jamie due to connectivity issues real quick. So he'll be back. But Goldin, were you able to go ahead? Yeah.
I wanted to ask about Andrew Zimmern. I think food plays such an integral role in travel, but we often overlook it. It's often why people go to certain markets, or the highlight what they talk about. What was the message that Andrew shared with everybody?
Honestly, it's still that connection piece, right? I think it's so easy to get caught up in what's happening with AI and tech and all these things, but truly the come around the table, create memorable experiences, whatever that looks like. Let people embrace your culture and see that side. Many of the themes. There was even one of the speakers named Abu, who runs this YouTube channel called Kids of the Colony, talking about how travel can really open up so many doors. And when you truly live like a local, and not in the Airbnb sense, but go to these different countries or places of different culture, and you actually act interested in knowing their culture, they are so open to sharing with you and to making you feel welcome and accepted in their way. And so for me, that was always cool. It's a good takeaway. Obviously, Andrew had a bunch more topics covered on stage, but one of my other favorite ones wasn't with Andrew. It was actually a podcast that came out on CBS. I walked into the podcast studio the first day not even the first day. It was it was the first morning. Sorry, my days and times were all blurred from the event. But walked into the podcast studio that we created for Skift, and Barry Biffle, CEO of Frontier Airlines, is on a podcast for CBS talking about how the United CEO is basically horrible at math and never took economics because he said if he's good at math, he would understand that we have an oversupply issue in the United States. As Scott Kirby, the United CEO, basically was being super critical about how the economic or the economy budget friendly flights and flights are dying. Obviously, Spirit and JetBlue have struggled this last year or two, trying to find a merger, filing for bankruptcy, not finding a place to land the plane technically in terms of ownership. So he came out swinging, and that was one of the first stories of the event that we saw immediate a ripple effect outside of the Skift media impact. So for Eric Boyle and Paul Manzi, who are tuning in and kind of curious about the Skift event, I'll just say it was very interesting to have that become one of our first ones. And then, obviously having every speaker on stage and our live journalists covering many of the topics live on Skift. A lot of stories were populated and lots of content to go through.
Similarly, what sounds like they were talking about on the supply thing seemed to be a theme at both Vrbo and with what Airbnb said and it continues to say.
Yeah.
And what the messaging seems to be is quality and standards are starting to matter. They've always mattered to the traveler, but the platforms have been incentivized, particularly Airbnb, to grow, supply. And I think we're getting to the point now that they acknowledge supply is needs to not be the focus anymore, and now it's got to be quality and standards. And in Airbnb's case, also hotels. So what and this is also something we heard at Guesty last week, where quality and standards it seems to be the theme. Every year there's themes. AI has been a little bit for the past couple of years. Consolidation for many years before that, but quality and standards seems to be the theme right now. What was the buzz going on at Skift about that?
Yeah, definitely the quality and standards piece, because to the bigger travel ecosystem, short-term rentals has always kind of been like kind of the wild west in some shape or form. But the fact that Brian was talking about not just the amount of listings they've cut from their platform, the amount of push they're going to be doing on the hotel supply side, but the AI theme is really interesting to me. And this is why I think it's great in terms of discussion, but in all practicality, how is this going to look? Brian is really bullish on the app interface of AI, not just the chat interface, which obviously we're in that early phase right now. He talked about this last year at Skift Global Forum. He brought it up again this year. And this is where, Jamie, I love what you were saying behind the stage, and welcome back now that we got you connected again. Behind the stage, before we went live, talking about these, LinkedIn influencers and how they're going to have this, crazy craze around, Airbnb search and AI search and what they're going to do with the platform as they change the algorithms. But in reality, it's not going to be change much there. They're really going to be pushing true interface experiences. And that for me is like hard to grasp, right? Because we haven't seen a true application have AI at this level. And so it's great talk. It's great to hear. It's great to see that, they want to kind of future-proof their business. As Brian stated, he's not super happy with the company's growth right now in terms of, projection. Obviously, they have a lot more business items to land into the business, and experiences just taking off now. So it's a lot. There's going to be a lot of changes, and I don't think there's any guarantees, but the AI theme for me is cool to hear because they have a ton of data. And so the fact that they can train their own models with their data, eventually come up with the first interface experience, if they could do it right, we'll see all the other OTAs, the big three, kind of follow suit, I think.
Yeah.
Jamie, why don't you give some insights, and then I'll maybe take a contrarian view here on the AI and interface.
Yeah. And well, Brian said that AI search is coming. And that is going to change how search happens on the Airbnb app. It essentially hasn't changed in how many years? They added in categories. Yeah, they added in and different ways to sort of, and their algorithm sort of showing things up. But ultimately, like, and search on Airbnb hasn't changed and since they launched it. And now, and they're gonna sort of change the paradigm where Brian said it's going to become more iterative, and it's going to change how it works. And I'm really excited to see like how the search bar changes, how the sort of interaction between guest and search happens, because it's potentially going to change and which properties show at the top, and that can really impact sort of the ecosystem.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that wasn't fully discussed, but a great article came out on Skift by Adriana Lee, one of our new tech reporters. And the big thing for Airbnb was the kind of tech rehaul that they did. Not only have we seen a tech rehaul done with Airbnb now as they relaunched their messaging side and really did a big revamp in order to future-proof and kind of have this AI application layer. We obviously have been seeing Vrbo doing the same thing, right? Trying to catch up, trying to get their tech debt down and integrate into the greater ecosystem of Expedia. So it's great for all these companies to make these changes and be able to roll out features better, but even with them being able to create new product features and all these other enhancements, the tech debt, the behind the scenes, all the tech stuff that doesn't get as much credit is truly something that all of them are having to focus on, which obviously requires time and labor. So as they are able to use AI to cut down on guest support or even host support, hopefully they can apply more of that human capital to providing better tech to sustain the long term.
Yeah. So investing in ecosystems, pulling Vrbo onto Expedia makes a ton of sense. Where I'll take a contrarian view of, I don't know if they're investing in the right area, particularly Airbnb on their interface, is a lot of the stats and the trends that we're seeing go towards inspiration starts not with search, but it starts on social media. And I'm going to be directionally accurate here, but 3 years ago, it was like 34% of search started on socials, and now it's almost 80%. If socials can figure out how to convert some of that pipeline, then interfaces on the OTAs will be obsolete, and it will be almost automated or automatic from Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, whatever, and get directly to whatever the influencer is promoting. So yes, of course, people will always do some level of search, but I still think people are missing the mark on social media. We will get there. I promise. I will continue to say it almost every week, but socials is a big thing. And then Jamie, to come back around, you missed our comments on some of the standards. And one of the things I also don't think our industry is talking enough about are groups that are focusing on standards like well and good. And the cleaning, maintenance, the key items of property management is something that has still been hyper local. And the fact that a group like Well and Good is able to go out and start building upon that and adding markets and creating that layer of standards the industry needs, I think is a key element to short-term rentals succeeding long-term.
For sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I was going to say, and the OTAs though are realizing that the quality isn't there, that they've got to police the quality on their end. And if they don't, like, people are going to move to other forms of travel, and they can't rely on property managers. They can't rely on brands now popping up. Like, reviews are the standard. And if people aren't sort of getting the reviews they needed, that they're going to get deplatformed because it's not risk the sort of reputational damage that it causes. And I watched Seth Borko's sort of head of Skift research, and he did his AI segment with McKinsey, and one of the
incredible panel, by the way, so good.
Yeah, so good. But one of the stats that still just like blows my mind is that 30% of guests are now using AI for trip planning. Like, and like, how many trip planning apps have we seen out there that have sort of come and gone? It's an amazing use case. But ultimately, like ChatGPT, Gemini, like Perplex, they're all really good at it out of the box. And like, you don't need a separate app. Like, you can sort of do it all through that. They can plan out a great itinerary. They can give you links to sort of to go and start booking your lodging. Like, the apps are really good at it out of the box. So like, do we need a new interface? Like, I think the OTA should have their own version, like the Airbnb trip planning app that's going to bring together your lodging, your experiences, your services, like everything you want to do while you're in that, and like plan the whole thing. Let me book the whole thing, package it all together, give me a discount. Like, that seems like built for the connected trip, whether it's through Airbnb, Booking, or Expedia. And maybe we don't need these other sort of dedicated apps to do it.
Well, to lean into kind of the standards piece, because not only are Michael's comments around like well and good, perfect on the standardization of the inventory, or not even just the inventory, but the product itself, right? I think it's hard when you have every property manager who operates a little bit differently trying to create these standards versus well and good who gets to work with all of these, different companies and pull the standards that work, truly work at an execution level. But the big thing that I kind of had a takeaway from the Guesty conference the week before in Mexico City, when Eddie from Booking.com, who's their, I think, head of connectivity for the API and connection partners, is the data standards are completely lacking in our industry when every property management software and every OTA are listing a beachfront home or a beachfront lake or ocean view and ocean that, or a different verb or a different word for the same type of listing. And now we have 5 different data points that are pulling into one system through multiple APIs that cost a lot of money to maintain. If you're wondering why your tech stack cost is so expensive, it's because you're paying for the connectivity issues that is happening in our industry with the lack of data standards. And so for us as an industry, and this is something that I think the big OTAs need to work on top of their connectivity partners, like an Uplisting, a Guesty, whatever, right? They're going to need to work on API and data standards to make this truly unfold. It's going to be better for the guests. It's going to be better for the operator, and it's going to be better for all the tech partners. When we create this kind of moat of data hoarding and, we do it this way and we do it that way. And you have to connect to us this way and you have to pull this API standard. And it does nobody justice. And it's a conversation I'm passionate about, and we'll get off my high horse now as I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, a little bit of a Brandy rant, if I will. But that's the next issue: standardization on the short-term rental side, but also the data side. If we're going to really move forward as an industry, we have to move forward in unity with data.
So, and talking about standardization, can we wrap up on hotels? Because I feel like that was the other sort of really big sort of thing with Brian Chesky's sort of interview, was they are going all in on hotels. Like, Brian essentially described what the app's going to look like with the integration of hotels. You go on their career page, it's like all these sort of hotel market managers, and they're coming in big, they're coming in hot. Like, it's going to be boutique hotels, it's going to be independents. They're going to go after a few markets to begin with, like they're doing with services. So New York, Mexico City, some of these big metro areas with maybe limited short-term rental supply relative to the hotel supply. A lot of independent type hotels that will be able to come in. Like, I think it's going to be exciting and when they launch this and see what their sort of differentiation is. Like, Booking.com like owns OTA distribution for boutique independent hotels. Expedia does really well pushing those out to their B2B network. So, and how Airbnb comes in and executes this, I think is going to be one of the big question marks for 2026.
100%. And let's just hope that Airbnb doesn't pull a hopper and push extremely into a sector or category, hire all these people, and then realize, oh, this isn't our core business model and we're going to struggle. This is actually like not providing any returns. Let's just fire everybody and lay them off and do all these other pivots. So let's just hope that they don't pull a hopper, to say the least.
He's back.
had to get a hopper comment. Had to do it. So sorry for anyone listening to Hopper. Obviously, they'll never advertise on the show. So,
Michael, as a independent boutique hotel operator, and do you guys see like Airbnb coming in and being that like distribution channel that helps you guys further compete against the big hotel brands? Like, is that an opportunity? Is it not needed? And is it just because they have a lower OTA structure for now that it might be an opportunity? Or do you think boutique hotel operators are like, why would we be on Airbnb? Like, they're our competition.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you are. For our one property right now in Virginia, it is a motel, boutique hotel, right, as it exists. And we're getting about 10%. We're already on Airbnb. We're getting about 10% of reservations through it. So it's not a meaningful, it's a meaningful channel in some ways, but it's not by any means the leader. Now, our future state, when we build more cabins that are going to be hotel units, but they'll look more like a short-term rental unit in some capacities because of bedrooms and kitchens, then we'll rely a lot more heavily on Airbnb. And that's where the cross between hotel and short-term rental, where we are playing, is kind of in the middle. So we'll be able to capture the best of both worlds. If you're a traditional boutique hotel, studio hotel in city center, it can only be a positive for distribution, in my opinion. It's more eyeballs, and the Airbnb traveler, the demographic is different than your booking demographic, is different than your Expedia demographic. So it's never going to hurt. Where Airbnb is going to have to figure it out is their payment terms, and they need to mirror more like traditional hotels and other OTAs in the hotel space. That's where the friction is going to really be, is, Airbnb holding on to your money for however long until after the checkout. It doesn't fly with hotels like it does with short-term rentals.
For sure. Yeah. Lots to follow up on. So for the listeners and live viewers, I would say get ready for next week, as we have Tim Rosolio, VP of vacation rental success at Vrbo, joining the show. He's going to dive into the platform changes, some of the announcements that are going to be rolling out in 2026. And then also we'll have Brandy back. So you guys won't get to see my beautiful face, but we'll have a better face for you to look at other than my ugly mug. But long story short, I just want to say it was a great week at Skift Global Forum, and thank you to all the people that attended. Especially shout out to John On, who I got to see in person. Shout out to our live viewers, Paul Manzi, Eric Boyle, and many others. I saw Steve Schwab somewhere on LinkedIn, but for some reason the comment didn't pull through. So shout out to all of you guys. And Jamie, Michael, what do you guys got going on this week? Don't say same old, same old. I need something new. Come on. It's been too long. It's been too long.
I'm not traveling this week. So that's exciting for me. Going to get some time with the kids. We took them to the Atlanta United game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium this past weekend. So they're excited for some dad time this week.
Let's go.
There we go. Yeah, getting ready for a big interview with Rosolio. Let's say that. How about that work? Otherwise, same old.
I'll accept it. Well, awesome. Thank you again to our live viewers, to everyone who tuned in during the show, and of course that are tuning in on the replay on the audio version. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can go to skift.com to learn more, because there's tons of other podcasts of the Skift ecosystem for you to listen to on top of Good Morning Hospitality, your morning brew of the industry. And until next time, we'll see you guys then.